What up, film fans? This is Juan with the Cine-Men Movie Podcast, letting you know that this episode is brought to you by San Marcos Mexican Restaurant, located right here at 2301 Southwest 59th Street in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Give them a call at 405-685-7773 for to-go order, or check them out and dine in. Great food and even better customer service. It's the only dine-in restaurant of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
A piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love you's never having to say you're sorry.
You do? You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
I am.
What up, film fans? Happy Sunday. Welcome to episode 303. Welcome to Godzilla -1, and welcome to the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Juan, and I am joined by the cast, the crew, the three amigos. Zach?
Hey, I'm back.
What up, Ed?
How's it going, folks? Y'all doing all right?
Real good, man. What a Sunday. It's hot. Scorching for the last day of June, but you know, it's okay. Tomorrow's going to be July, and
even hotter.
Even hotter, yeah, correct. But you know, I did see a cold front this weekend where we got some temperatures in the high 89s and the low 90s. So hopefully that helps out.
Hopefully.
But anyway, we're here for our Godzilla double feature. Today we're talking about Godzilla -1. And the day after tomorrow, episode 304, we're talking Godzilla times Kong, the New Empire. So 2 Godzilla movies in 3 days just to get our foot right back on the new schedule. So should be a fun 3 days. Zach, how you been?
I've been doing pretty good. Started a new job and going to the movies like pretty much every weekend, no joke. We'll talk about that in recent watches. Other than that, can't really complain. What about you guys?
Man, it's been good. Good week. Man, new jobs everywhere, new schedules. Everybody's it's just a whole new us. Episode 300 was really the
Turning point.
Yeah. It was
the
where it all begins
finale,
again. Where it all begins
the
again.
series finales to start something new. Yeah.
Pretty much.
So here's to the next 300. So if you guys did not join us last week we had a very fun conversation. It is now our highest downloaded episode of all time. Go back and listen to Demolition Man. Me, Jay, and Edward had a really fun conversation about a futuristic kind of science fiction action movie.
I want to know something. Do you know how to use the 3 shells, Zach?
No, I don't, unfortunately.
No. He didn't even know what we were talking about.
Oh.
Nope. Never even seen that movie, so
check it out.
So I must have missed it out.
All of our links are on the Facebook page at facebook.com/the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Instagram is all one word, the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The X is Cinemen405, and then you can email us at cinemen921@gmail.com. You can also get the links on the YouTube channel where you're watching us live here on Facebook Live and Amos Watt Productions YouTube channel. Go check out that episode. It was a real fun conversation. But guys, let's get into some recent watches. Ed, you want to start us off first? You've been watching anything or want to recommend anything?
Well, of course, in usual fashion, I got ahead and watched the final 3 episodes of Shoresy. Man, I don't know what's coming next for that show. I've heard rumors that it's already, greenlit for a fourth season, so there's that. so awesome. The show just kind of took a little bit of an unexpected turn at the final 2 episodes. So anybody who has seen it will know what I'm talking about. Anybody who has not should. On top of that, gone ahead and for some weird reason, and I don't know why, I've gotten into the first 3 Fast and the Furiouses in the past week. Not only that, but then I checked out, this one's a kicker, an old movie I haven't checked out in a while called The Animal. So that is that. And Biodome.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Just, yeah.
What are those on, Max?
Yeah.
Or would you
pretty
check?
sure
Would you
it
check
was
them
on Max and Peacock. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you've been keeping your eyes on the cock a lot lately.
Every now and then, yeah. I've got to go ahead and watch some old time favorites to maybe get into another few things.
Speaking of old time favorites, go back also this past Thursday. Me and Jay talked about Backlash 2002. It is on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Spotify, Anchor, Podbean, YouTube, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. This Thursday, me and Craig will be talking about the release of NCAA Football 25, along with some other sports stuff going on. And then next Thursday, me and Jay will be talking about Unforgiven 2005, which was the first pay-per-view here in Oklahoma City. First and only. But now let's get ready to talk my recent watches. I'll just zoom through them real fast. I finished the Weird Al movie. I think I talked about it on last week's episode. I also double-checked and went through Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I Know, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer for the little 4th of July weekend. And also, it was a top conversation over on Friday the 14th podcast. So go listen to that conversation. And then, you know what? I checked out Godzilla -1 for today's episode, and I watched Godzilla times Kong: The New Empire for Tuesday. If you guys are going to join us on Tuesday, we will also go through our top 5 ranked Godzilla movies. So it should be fun. That'll be Tuesday. Tuesday. Zach, what about you? Would you check anything out recently you want to talk about?
Yeah, like I said, I've gone to the theater pretty much every single weekend in the past couple of weeks. I went and saw Inside Out 2. I watched the documentary on HBO Max, Movie Crash. I thought it was really good. Kind of explains how an incredible idea that was, and it just like completely fell apart really quickly. And I had a movie pass card at one point in time, so I was kind of curious about how exactly that fell apart, and it's quite interesting. The Bike Riders with Austin Butler and Tom Hardy. Yeah, it was fine. Not as great as I thought I wanted it to be. And on Saturday, I went and checked out Horizon: An American Saga Chapter 1. Very good movie. It is girthy, a 3-hour Western, but it's really shot really well in all the different casts and characters. It's going to be interesting to see how the story goes on with Chapter 2 in August. So check out Horizon, check out Inside Out 2, which is, as of today, the first billion dollar movie of the year. We're halfway through 2024, and that's our first one. So yeah, go check those things out.
I heard Bike Riders was really good. I heard a lot of good praise from critics and stuff.
It's shot really well. It has 3 great performances. It just not a lot happens. Like when you watch the movie, you'll kind of it's more of like the social economic atmosphere of being in a motorcycle gang, and not really like the day-to-day life of what they go through. So
did you kind of think it was going to be like an action-packed gang fight movie or something?
Yeah, I don't know really what I was expecting. I just thought at the end of the day, I just thought there'd be more action than there was in the movie. So
fair.
Like I said, guys, July is right around the corner. Tomorrow, actually, Tuesday, we are kicking off July with episode 3.
It's a packed month, from what I understand.
It is packed. 304 we'll be talking about Godzilla times Kong, the new Empire. Which news also broke that there's a new MonsterVerse movie coming out in the year 2027, I think. So
Yep.
that'll be pretty interesting. I'm sure we'll talk about that some more on Tuesday. Um, July 9th, we'll be talking about Maxine, which hits theaters this Friday, July the 5th. Um, July the 16th, we'll be talking about the 30th anniversary of The Crow. That's July 16th. July 23rd, man, we're going and we're checking out Twisters. That should be an fun episode 307. And then we end the month, July 30th, with episode 308, Deadpool Wolverine. So,
It's interesting. Out of the 5 films of July, we're actually doing 3, or you guys are doing 3 theater releases, which we haven't done in quite some time.
3 theater releases and 4 2024 movies. So,
Yep.
should be fun. But let's get into what we're talking about today. Probably one of the most anticipated movies, at least I'm sure everybody wanted to see in the U.S. here in quite some time. So let's dig into it. It had a December 1st, 2023 release date. Um, IMDb has it at a 7.8. Rotten Tomatoes is at 98%. The Metascore is 81%. Letterboxd has it at a 4.1 out of 5. With a budget of $10 million, it grossed a little over $116 million at the box office. Post-war Japan is at its lowest point when a new crisis emerges in the form of a giant monster baptized in the horrific power of the atomic bomb. Uh, Directed by Takashi Yamazaki. If I don't want to
Yamazaki.
Yamazaki Gesundheit. I don't want to
We're
butcher.
not going to go
his
through the
name.
cast because I don't want to butcher a bunch of people's names. So
Yeah. But let's dig into it. Zach, we'll start with you. Man, do you remember the first time you seen this? I'm sure you got to see it in the theaters. And what was it like revisiting it for the podcast?
Yep. I originally heard about this movie probably about this time last year, and just heard all the huge hype and the critical reception about it. I was like, okay, that's cool that a Godzilla movie is kind of going back to the basics and set in Japan and post-war era, World War II and everything. Went and saw it opening weekend, and I was shocked how good this movie was. I actually saw it twice in theaters. Saw it the first time when it was released in color, and then about a month later, it was re-released in the black and white version, which gives it a whole new perspective. And I think a lot of people, obviously us included, were shocked that it just got put on Netflix at the beginning of the month, and it was just like, okay, here you go. Here's a special summer surprise. And yeah, I mean, I have really no complaints with this movie, but I hyped it up a lot the last couple of months. I think it was in my top 3 of the year, honestly. What'd you guys think about it?
Man, I did not get to go check this out in the theater, which I am now really disappointed in myself.
Regrettably.
Yeah, but as soon as it hit Netflix, I watched it opening evening. I've now seen it I think I kind of skimmed through it today for the 4th time. I'm kind of agreeing with you. Like, man, they do this with a $10 million budget, and it takes us $300 million to do like an Avengers movie, and Godzilla -1 looked 10 times better. This is also an Oscar-winning film, so it won for best visuals. But like,
the first
no,
Godzilla movie ever to do that.
yeah, and we'll talk about the myth and the lore of Godzilla in the next 2 episodes, today and Tuesday. But like, man, this, in a few short words, and then we'll dive into it. Let Ed speak. I was amazed, and I was completely shook up. Ed,
Sugar. No, this one, it was great. Honestly, like, if you've never seen some of the originals, or if you're a fan of the original Godzillas, this one I highly would recommend. Just because, it blew me away when I first saw it, because I didn't hear about it. Oh, crap,
did you get to check this out in the theater, or did you just watch it for the first time for the episode?
Just Netflix. Not really for the episode. No, I was excited for Godzilla X Kong, and yeah, it was kind of like, okay, you know, I've heard a lot of good things. I know you were really excited about it, Zach. So I was just like, might as well, okay. And I think within the first 10 minutes, it kind of grabbed, and it just didn't let go. So I mean, you know, if people like, I know I'm kind of already delving in a little bit, but if people have like well, this is in the older ways. Okay, yes,
That's
but it's a badass thing. No, it's not even that, dude. It's badass. Yeah. So that's all I can say right now, honestly.
I don't even think it has to do with it going back to the old school ways of Godzilla. Like, this is the first time, and at least in my lifetime, that we've seen a Godzilla movie where he actually is the demon that the humans point him out to be. Like, you know, in some of the movies, you kind of feel sorry for the creature, or he's really being tormented by the humans. But in this movie, you're like, man, I side with the humans. He deserves everything that they're going to dish out at him, because he's a complete terror the entire movie. And I think, again, we'll talk about it on Tuesday. I don't know. I'm going to rewatch it before Tuesday, but my biggest disappointment action of myself was watching this and then watching Godzilla times Kong.
No.
And it completely ruined me. Like, I'm like, this is what us Americans gave us as a Godzilla film. And it's like, if you watch -1, it blows all of them out of the water.
Okay, I will say, what I'll say about it, and I won't be on that episode, Godzilla times Kong.
Oh, I don't think it's you got to talk Godzilla with us on Tuesday.
It's like it's in my contract, obviously. What I'll say about it is that I don't think it's a bad movie by any means, but it just doesn't go to the heights that -1 could, or -1 is. It's just one of those movies, and that's the part of the problem, is that this movie came out like 6 months after -1, really less than that. And, you know, people were so hyped on it that, like, when we went and saw Godzilla times Kong, you're just like, this is like below standard of what these films could be, honestly.
And what were you going to say?
Yeah.
I think okay, so the origins
and it's a different. No, it's just a different iteration too. You have to remember that as well.
Well, not only that, but then you've got to go ahead and understand that it's a different type of a monster. Like, both of them are Godzilla. Both of them are technically, you know, just a big ass wild animal. Like, that's all it really is. But in the American version, in the legendary version, I think he's given too many feelings or characteristics that are human-like, so you can bond with the creature, which I get to a degree, because that's, you know, where more of a, you know,
you gotta sell merchandise. You gotta make him into a toy, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think ours is more character development for not only the characters that are speaking or humans, but additionally, because don't get me wrong, let's face it, Godzilla X Kong, if you say that Kong wasn't the feature part or wasn't the hardcore, like, big character develop, yes, Godzilla got his too, but Kong was the feature point in that movie, 100%.
Yeah.
They should have switched it. They should have switched the title. It should have been Kong times Godzilla.
Now, in Godzilla -1, it's Godzilla as a full-on just beast. And I don't even mean just like hulking beast.
No.
It's a wild animal.
No. Well, here's the thing, and I think this movie pretty much established, and I wanted to get your guys' perspective on that. Walking out of the theater for -1, it really cemented the idea that Godzilla works a lot better when he's just a monster, like the name, a monster. He don't give a fuck. He's just trampling through, destroying everything in its path. And he doesn't have a mission. He's just, hey, this is in my way. I'm going. I don't care. While the American legendary Godzilla, you know, he I'm not going to say he walks around buildings, but he has much more of a reception of
they give him a conscience.
Yes, a conscience. That's a good word to say it.
I would argue that because the Coliseum literally, becomes his bed, like his crib. Yeah. He doesn't give a shit about Japanese buildings or American buildings or Russian buildings or anything.
But at least, I mean, we'll touch on it one more time and we'll talk about it on Tuesday. But at least in the Godzilla times Kong version, he knows nobody's in the Coliseum. He knows he can't hurt anybody, so he'll lather up like a cat and lay in that building instead of where if you look at him in -1, he's just Samoa Joeing it up and just destroying everything in his path.
But see, the two big differences are right now, the Legendary has other monsters that are trying to go ahead and go head to head with Godzilla. Right now with the Japanese, I don't know what the studio
Toho.
is. So Toho. Oh, yeah. What?
Yes, the original.
Wow.
Yep.
With Toho, it's just him, and he's going through a lot of changes in his early days and going all there. And how would you feel as a teenager? You just hit a growth spurt and someone comes up and just knocks you in the knees a little bit, just like, okay, look, man, I didn't do shit. I walked off the beach, bro.
Let's talk about that. The Toho version, it's almost like the Sony Entertainment. Like Sony has to put out a Spider-Man movies every so often, or like they'll lose rights or something. It's the same way with Toho, right? Like Toho owns Godzilla. But don't they want to and keep putting out movies just so we know that they're there?
Well, really, it's us, the Americans, that we have to make a film every so many years, like the Sony thing. We have to make a movie every so many years, otherwise we lose the rights to use Godzilla in this type of fashion.
Not only that, but there are contractual obligations that the studio over here has to follow from Toei Studios.
Yeah,
and all
I think I read somewhere that when Gareth Edwards did his Godzilla in 2014, he was given a binder of all the he has to it as an American movie production company. If we're going to make a Godzilla movie, we have to follow all these rules that Toho wants to to represent or to give respect to that character.
Because they have to have certain amount of fingers, they have to have certain characteristics, they have to have certain things. It's funny enough, it's kind of like some, I've heard some Hollywood actors have it in their contracts that can't be shown as the bad guy, or even companies for that matter with their products. I've heard Apple. I've heard that Apple does not want its phone in the hands of a bad guy, stuff like that. So,
I thought you were going to say something completely different.
Oh, no. But, this is stuff that I've heard off different rumors and websites that it's
I like
that.
I like how this movie, and it seems like they do it almost right after America puts out a Godzilla film. When did Shin Godzilla come out, Zach? Didn't that come out after the 2014 version? That came out in 2016?
Actually, I think it came out before the 2014, but let me look real quick.
No, sure. I actually think it came out before.
It came out 2 years after.
Last one.
It came out 2 years after the 2014 version. So yeah, you're correct.
Because a lot of people were comparing Shin Godzilla and the second Legendary to each other, basically, because they were both doing a radiological meltdown, or a thermonuclear meltdown.
But I will say, so far, this going into -1, my expectations completely got blown out of the water. And I liked how this felt more like a war movie. It felt like a Japanese war movie with Godzilla sprinkled into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that.
I mean, talk about the opening sequence alone itself, where you see Godzilla in the shadows and everything, and it's on the island. It's the kamikaze pilot who, quote unquote, says that there's something wrong with the plane, which I really digged that storyline of here's a man who basically turned his back on his job, and now it's almost like payback. Almost, it's almost like a cause and effect of he didn't do what he's supposed to do. Now this is going to happen with Godzilla. Coincidentally, I did hear that the director, that whole opening sequence very much was inspired by the Jurassic Park T-Rex escape, or when it breaks out of the pen, it kind of lurks around. I was like, watching it this time, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. The
Oh,
way
that's
it's kind
cool.
of shot and everything. So
That's cool.
And this movie is like, the only thing that kind of hurt me with this movie the second or third time around was there was a little bit of a pacing issue after the time, like the 54-minute range where you see him in the city and he picks up the train and that girl is in the train.
mhm.
There's the time in between that until they're trying to demolish the creature. To me, it kind of drags just a little bit in that, from the hour 10 mark to the hour 45 mark. Just maybe 10 minutes of it. But still, like, I like how you, by the end of the movie, you're completely like engulfed in the characters and not waiting around trying to see Godzilla.
Yeah.
So like
I mean,
in the American versions, I really don't care about any of the characters, honestly, unless you go back to the 1997 Matthew Broderick movie. But like Bryan Cranston's movie, the chick from Stranger Things, I could care less about any of those characters.
yeah. And I think that's the most incredible thing about this movie is, I talked about it when I first saw it back in December. Is like, you're going in to watch Godzilla chaos and destruction, but by the end of the movie, you're like, wow, I care about these humans. I want them to succeed, and I want them to survive this whole horrific atrocity.
I mean, I think with regards to Godzilla or the Kong movies for that matter, you do get that way with the girl, the last of the Iowa tribe. But other than that, maybe the mom, that's about it.
But not to
I
this
could
extent.
I could give a fuck about that little girl, honestly, in Kong times Godzilla, and I'll talk about it on Tuesday.
Well, and, you bring it together a group of these two characters who one has PTSD from his not doing his full potential or his moral obligation, and then this woman who has literally lost everything in this destruction and takes care, like literally kind of kidnaps this baby girl, and they literally, even though he doesn't really acknowledge it, they kind of work together as like parents to bring this child up in this post-war Japan, which I think is a beautiful story, in the backdrop of Godzilla coming in and out of this in the movie. What do you guys think about the boat crew when like they go out to look for mines, and you kind of see Godzilla like post like however many years after the island attack?
I think 5 years,
5 or 7 years, I think, something like that.
somewhere in there.
And I love how like they also, like, you see the dead fish float up to the top when you know he's coming.
Yeah.
That was a
good thing.
good extra right there, I thought.
This movie is very, very detail oriented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really wanted to get your guys' thoughts on what you guys think about his atomic breath and like how his scales kind of pop out of his back as like it's like loading or something like that.
I don't know. That I kind of like, to be honest. I think it's a good.
I thought it was badass. I was like, that is something completely different. I had never seen that with the Godzilla iteration before.
That's the thing with this movie. Everything about Godzilla in this was just so detailed, from his skin, his scales, his spikes, his eyes, his breath. When he's chasing after the boat in the water and he looks like a giant, like he's, his eyes are above the water. Just the way the water is shot, and the visual effects in this movie are phenomenal. And this is watching it on streaming. Like, of course, yeah, we have 4K streaming and stuff now, but honestly, I can't wait to just see if there's a 4K disc of this that just uploads sometime soon with physical media. I'm sure Criterion is just licking their chops. I'm sure they are.
Yeah. I really, and I was going to talk about that. If Criterion does release one, which I pray to God that they do, I really hope that it includes the colorized and the black and white version of it. So
I'm sure it'll be like Parasite.
Yeah.
How it included both.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, like the
Yeah,
water,
and
the water effects. A lot of movies can't get that right. At least here in the U.S., it's either like really good
yeah.
water effects, or they have to go on location, or it can be like Aquaman. It's just terrible. But no, this one was good.
Well, I mean, that water sequence, especially when he attacks like the vessel and everything, I was like, how the hell did they pull that off with the $10 million budget? Like that to me is just like
Well, their equipment is
that's
also
incredible.
10 times probably advanced than
Better
ours
than
too.
ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Um. Man, and then when he shoots out the fire, he kind of gets like hurt and like scaly and burnt as he blows out the fire, almost like it's
Oh yeah.
When Thanos snaps his fingers. So, and I like how like he rejuvenates on everything.
Dude, that was the part that made him a little bit more like, holy shit, this is, this one means business.
Because when the bomb went off in his mouth, you're like, oh shit, that's it. Is there another one
That's into
coming
that.
up? But no, he just
Yeah.
and the way he rejuvenated,
Regenerates.
yeah, regenerates was amazing. So
Yeah, I liked how they set up the stakes real early. It's just like how how are they going to kill this thing essentially? If he can regenerate that quick, like what kind of weapon could we have that could kill him? And I like how they also bring up the idea of like, okay, Japan is literally on its own. The U.S. is fighting the Russians in the Cold War. We can't use them. All these outside resources that you would think they could use. There's just it's not it's not they're not given that opportunity. So they had to come up with a really cool plan to kill him.
Before we continue, the Craft Soda Company of Oklahoma. Don't forget, guys, this episode is sponsored by OKC Soda Company. The Craft Soda Company of Oklahoma, with super unique flavors like strawberry shortcake, blueberry acai, made with pure cane sugar and all natural flavors. No high corn syrup are in these sodas. Check them out at your local convenience stores. Also, check them out at your local grocers, Homelands, Crest food stores. You can also check them out at their distribution center. Don't forget to let them know or give them an email and let them know that you heard the ad right here on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. What do you guys think of the way they start diving into how to destroy the creature, like trying to sink him? And Zach, I know well, both of you guys are actually really big Godzilla fans, so Ed, we can start with you. Was there something inside you that was like, man, I want this honestly, I want this creature to continue. Fuck these people.
After a while, just seeing it, yes. Not only that, but then it's kind of like you can't really just kill him off like that, especially that easily, I guess, if you want to say that. Just because like that's a huge moneymaker. So I mean, yeah, you might be able to go ahead and like do away with him, if you will, but it's not going to be a kill for that matter.
Well, we'll talk about it, but I mean, like, I agree with you, Ed. At the same time, it's like I'm glad they didn't use the oxygenator, the oxygen bomb that they used in previous films. Like, let's come up with something different in order to kill him. I really, really like the idea of, like you said, they just kind of drown him essentially in like the pressurized oxygen or the pressurized force of the ocean is essentially what kills him. His home is what kills him. It's kind of a cool concept.
Strange on how they use his own environment.
So technically, let's put this way: this movie takes place after or right in the smack dab of World War II, and then it continues on a few years past World War II. So not only is that country going through the demise and the struggle of World War II, now out of nowhere, Godzilla pops up, and it's like, oh, you thought World War II was over? Guess what? The Americans sent me, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yep.
But yeah, that's what amazes me about this movie. Honestly, is just, man, I feel like this is a war movie with Godzilla sprinkled into it.
No, I can agree on that because it did feel very not necessarily warlike, but it did feel that it was based around that time 100%. It was a film that was full. I mean, honestly, like it didn't leave you just on, terms that you're not sure where it gone, you're not sure what happened afterwards and all that. It had the good closure for that matter.
Yeah.
Zach, you talked about this throughout recent watches twice this past December. Um, what was it like, man? Like, did you guys watch the Netflix dubbed version? Did
Mm-mm.
anybody? So I
No.
did, just so I can keep up with it, and with kids running around and stuff. Sometimes it's easier to just listen than it is to
Yeah.
read. So I checked out the American dub version a few times, and I gotta admit, like Netflix is the one who put it together, and Netflix dubbed it, and it was a really good dubbed version. Like it was really good. Like it didn't. I feel like I didn't lose a beat, honestly, with
There
it.
you go.
Well, that's good because I mean, a lot of people would say dub versions, like you can't. A lot of people have trouble with like the words in the mouth, like
Oh no,
combining. It doesn't add up.
this
Yeah.
this one was real good, and it didn't take away from the soundtrack or the sounds of the movie. So
So that's always
Honestly, I'll go
positive.
a step further and that is something else I want to talk about, but I'll go a step further and say this could be a silent movie and you wouldn't have to use any language. Like the actors do such a good job that you could just by their emotional facial reactions and everything, yeah, you wouldn't need words for the movie.
this is turning into a Parasite episode because we said the same thing on Parasite, where you could
Yeah.
watch that thing on mute and just the events going on and the expressions of the actors. You're like, you could find out really what's going on within just a matter of a few minutes.
Yeah. I totally agree.
What else did you want to bring up, Zach?
Um the score. Man, they go
Oh,
back to the original like Godzilla score, and it is like it's so badass. It's almost like they've revamped it and somehow it is just it brings it adds to the movie. Like
yeah.
the final sequence of them trying to entrap him and the main character in the plane trying to attack Godzilla. It's like wow, this is phenomenal. This is so badass.
I guess yeah. Even in the Americanized versions, they use like those two same songs. I guess it's just a universal thing. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. What did you guys like the idea of the creature regenerating itself, which technically some lizards can
Oh,
do anyway? So I thought that was pretty cool. Did they do that in any other movie, Zach? Edward?
I don't have they done has he done it in the legendary version? Part of
I
me
don't
thinks he
think
has.
not
maybe.
necessarily regenerate. No, I would say come back with Sarazawa.
What about with the
Oh
tail?
yeah.
What about with the tail? When the tail gets chopped off, does it grow back? I
I'm
thought
not sure,
Uh,
honestly. I don't think so. Or unless it has, it's one that I haven't seen. But at least
or
on the American
or at
ones that
least
like it doesn't if they cut it off, it doesn't grow back.
they haven't done it. Like they haven't specifically cut it off. No,
Hmm.
not to my knowledge.
I want to say that in the American ones, I don't want to use the term weaker, but the character of Godzilla is much more standard where he's easily defeated. Like, it's not like
I
this one.
I kind of feel like Juan was right on that though. Like with the conscientious uh type of monster, if you will.
Yeah.
Because even Frankenstein or Dracula or them had their consciousness about them, and I know they're a different monster, but at the same time, this is a beast. This is a wild animal. Yes, it may
Yeah.
be 300 stories high, but I mean, a wolf is different from a dog, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Did you guys like the way that he just looked overall in general? Any issues or some positives and negatives for the way he looked?
I mean,
No,
I think
no.
I thought it
I
looked
think he
great.
was
No.
yeah he looked phenomenal.
I mean, honestly, it's kind of the time honored traditional look, if you will. so I can't really.
Stiff
Yeah, I
with
think
his
they
arms
really.
extending straight out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the director really wanted, pay homage to the like the 1954 Godzilla of like he's a slow walker. He's not very agile. Where like he literally takes a step at a time. He takes his time. His hands are always like in the forward motion. It doesn't really move.
And he wasn't a she
like a
that was
T-Rex.
pregnant.
Yeah.
Hey,
I don't know why. I don't know why I like that movie. I don't know why I'm
yeah,
dying.
I was gonna say me too. I always poke fun at it, but like I think that's a pretty kick-ass movie.
Well, I think, and it goes back to like this movie is just. I think this movie shows people like, the character of Godzilla doesn't have to be this like stupid, beast. Like he can be like a monstrous figure that people can be afraid of, and done in the right hands, like this director has. It's like, wow, this is a really cool idea.
Has anybody seen Shin Godzilla?
I've seen clips. That's most.
I own it. I own it. I've never seen it though. I might watch it tonight.
The only thing that I like the design of Godzilla in that one, but I don't like how I've seen the clip of like his mouth like completely like just like divides open when he does his like breath.
Predator like.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I mean, well, because his mouth essentially goes into an upper and then two bottoms that come out. So almost like a predator type mouth. But I mean, they were trying to do an evolution with that, and I mean
that's a Toho movie too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a production company that owns the rights.
Yeah. And Zach, I think eventually that movie's gonna hit Blu-ray and stuff because Shin Godzilla took like a year to come out on physical media here in the U.S. anyway. So I think I think we'll originally get an Americanized physical copy of that. This episode, guys, is also brought to you by OKC, unique and local movie theater, Rodeo Cinema. OKC's exclusive nonprofit cinema with 2 historic locations. They show films of all genres from all over the globe. You can visit them and get ticket information at www.rodeocinema.org. The 2 historic locations is 701 West Sheridan Avenue, that's Film Row, and then 2221 Exchange Avenue in the stockyards of Old Town, Oklahoma City. You can see us there. We'll be there opening weekend for both Maxine and Twisters. So come check us out. We'll be at Rodeo Cinema Friday, July the 5th. Come hang out with us and we'll watch Maxine. And then you can come hang out with us on July 19th and watch Twisters. So.
Twisters.
Yeah, getting back to Godzilla -1, I think, Zach, what were you about to lead into?
After seeing the movie, obviously, quote unquote, Godzilla dies, and the last scene of the movie is him regenerating. Do you think, obviously this question is much more open. Do you think this movie deserves a sequel, or do you think they should just leave it alone?
I mean, deserves a sequel. It's kind of that time-honored thing.
And the Godzilla, you're right, but it's just like this was such a cool one-off movie that I don't think it needs one per se.
I think it depends on how everything is done over there in Japan. I mean, if it's the same thing here where the movie makes good money and it's very it's received well. Do the Japanese studios automatically want to push into a sequel, or do they want to make that its own thing?
I mean, factually wise, it's the 3rd highest grossing Japanese film of 2023. It's actually the highest grossing Godzilla movie, surpassing Shin Godzilla. In the 47th Japan Academy Film Prize, which is like the Japanese Oscars over there, it won Best Picture over there. So I think the director said that, if we're going to make a sequel, we're going to take our time with it. We're not going to rush it. It might just be a couple years, maybe even more, before I have an idea or if I even want to do one. Which I respect that.
Yeah.
If they do, I wouldn't mind if they just leave other monsters out of it. I think the way this one like tortured, the Japanese after World War II, I think that'd be cool. If anything, you know what? Bring in another fiction, bring in another historical war to it. Make Godzilla surrounded by the Vietnam War now in this
Yeah.
sequel. You know, he say,
Yeah, I was
say
going to say.
say he only pops
uh,
up during the harshest times, for that land or for that area of the world.
yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, this movie set in the 40s. Fast forward to 30 years, like you said, in Vietnam, where like all hell's broke loose, and he shows up. Yeah, that'd be a really cool idea.
If there's bookings for more movie ideas, you guys can email me at cinemen921@gmail.com. If you think that's good with Godzilla hanging out in Vietnam, you don't want to. I got more ideas about Frosty the Snowman and Hitler, so come hit me up.
Oh,
Yeah. So anyway, let's get into um, Red and Blues Pizza. You guys can give them a call at 405-602-2838. They're located right here at 4500 South May Avenue. They're open 7 days a week. You can hit them up. Red and Blues Pizza. Beat the heat and don't barbecue out in the heat this year. Just get you some pizza and hang out inside in that air conditioning. Or they have the greatest sandwiches, pizzas. You can also get their Cine Sticks. So hit them up. Let them know that the Cine-Men Movie Podcast sent you as well. The Olympics are coming up. You guys can also get you some
Man.
pizza, some wings, some gyros, and hang out and eat and watch the Olympics. So
there you go.
let's get into maybe some favorite scenes. Zach talked about the ending. What did you guys think of the ending though? It goes into his mouth and he kind of just froze and stood there, and then he finally sunk down to the bottom. Zach, you touched on it in just a little bit. Did you guys like the ending?
Yeah.
It goes back to the middle of the film where he says, "Oh yeah, you can hit the eject button," and you kind of knew that was going to come back around in the movie.
I thought it was pretty cool, but the thing is like you could see Godzilla was pissed at the end because he was just like, "Okay, y'all got it. I'll admit, but you wait 3 seconds and I'm out." Like he was pissed.
Yeah, that was probably my only nitpick. Was I wish they hadn't shown the scene where they were just talking about the plane and he says, "Hey, look at this." I was like, "Oh, so it's going to be like an ejector seat and he's going to be able to get out before the plane smashes into his mouth."
But
I wish they had saved that, but yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, you'd have people go, "Where was that? Oh my god, no, they can't do that. No." Like, well, look,
That's not how that works. Yeah.
Kamikazes don't have eject buttons, dude. Oh my god. Like, bro, first off, probably not. Second off, I get it. But third off, they showed you that, hey, he was an honored person at that moment. They were trying to save his life because he had the little girl to go back to and the woman to go back to as well. So they were like, let's throw bro a bone. He's about to go ahead and do this mission, and let's give him an out. Like,
I like his boating comrades where it's just like they call him out on his bullshit. It's just like, hey, don't leave this little girl orphan again, please. Just come back.
Yeah.
And they all have their own little characteristics that I really liked.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, and he stood out just because he knew how to operate different things. He knew how to go about it. So he wasn't just some piece of shit that, who cares? He was a guy that had been through a lot, done some, not done a lot, maybe not done his duty, but at the same time, they were like, look, man, this guy deserves something. So let's give him a chance at a fighting, survival, and yeah, maybe he can be a good father and go from there.
Pavey.
Yeah.
But boy, you ought to saw his face whenever he said that his woman was going to work too. Man, he was like, not only do we don't have to just stick to rice now, baby boy. We can have egg rolls too, boy. Shit.
He's stupid.
Better should have put her to work a lot sooner, boy. Um, you know, yeah.
Enough said.
Yeah, that's that.
Essentially.
Well, we talked about all of our great sponsors today. We also have some good news. In the few coming weeks after the 4th of July weekend, we got China Delight, fantastic Chinese restaurant located here near Moore in Oklahoma City, right across the street from Early Wine Park. They will be joining us soon on the show as well. So perfect timing, right? Favorite scene, Zach? You got a favorite scene?
Man, the first time the boat, they're them looking for the mines and they come across Godzilla is a great sequence. My favorite actually scene is after Godzilla uses his atomic breath in the city, and like the destruction wave kind of goes forward and then like jolts backwards, and then it's just so like chaotic in that moment. But like the most iconic scene in the movie, in my opinion, was after Godzilla uses his breath, and there's like this huge like mushroom cloud like far off in the distance, and Godzilla's just looking at it, and like he roars at it. It's just like that. It's so powerful. Like juxtaposed with like our main character like screaming at Godzilla for all the destruction he's just done, while Godzilla is like roaring at the mushroom cloud of like I created this. It's beautiful, man. What about you guys?
I'd have to say I enjoy the scene where he pops up out of nowhere in the city, and he attacks the train with the girl in the train, and you just hear that classic Godzilla tune.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy the scene where the main character adopts and brings in the lady and her daughter. That's a real touching scene, something that you're not used to in a Godzilla movie. And then anytime when he's in the boat when he's in the water chasing after the boat, and his head explodes for the first time, and you see him just regenerate, it's a terrific scene. And the ending was great as well. So, man, almost every scene that he's involved in is an outstanding, terrific scene to me. Ed, what about you?
I gotta agree. I would say when he gone after the battleships, that was pretty cool in my opinion. The first scene where he gone after the mine sweeping boat, that was pretty cool as well. Yeah, I mean, I gotta agree. You can't get too much better for him. It's a presence on screen. Plain and simple as that. It's a presence, and once that presence is there, it's hard to take your eyes off of it. It really is. So, yeah.
Zach, I was really, really surprised. So I'm super glad that you kept talking about this and making just like such a big deal about it during recent watches. And I told you, man, I promised. I was like, as soon as this comes available for us, whether it's streaming or physical media, I was like, man, we'll talk about it because, yeah, you hyped it up, man,
Yeah.
and you did really good. So I was great watch. Star rating 1 out of 5. I'll go first, man. Or Ed, go ahead. You go first. Let's see what you got.
I'm going to go ahead and give it a 4.5. Like, this film was damn good. I can't ask for much more. Yeah. I mean, honestly, you really can't ask for much more in my opinion.
I'll go the same. I'll go 4.5 out of 5. Perfect story. The creature looked good. I love the score. The cinematography was amazing. Visual effects were off the chart. For a 2 hour and 5 minute movie, it really does kind of flow by. Like I said, I had a few minor um, details as far as some of the pacing goes, but other than that, it's a near perfect film. So 4.5 for me.
I'll go the whole way. I'm gonna give it a 5. I think this is a Godzilla movie that is probably the best. I'll say it. It's probably the best Godzilla movie I've seen, honestly. It's what you want and more, and you just don't get a lot of movies like that. It just blows your expectations out of the water. Yeah, I highly go. Anyone that is curious about it, go check it out. Dubbed, the original Japanese language. It's well worth your time.
And it's on Netflix. Why wouldn't you? It's so much easy to go check it out right now. So
yeah, absolutely.
All their Godzilla stuff is actually getting ready to leave Netflix besides -1, so go check it out before it leaves. So
yeah.
Zach, Ed, did you guys? I noticed them today, and I started watching a little bit of it today. Did you guys seen any of the animated Toho films that are on Netflix? They have animated.
I don't think so, no.
They have animated anime Godzilla films on Netflix.
Oh, the animated. No, I haven't seen the animated ones. No.
And those are put out by Toho as well. So.
Damn. Okay.
There you go.
But yeah, go check it out. Godzilla -1 on Netflix right now. Go check it out. So, right now. But hey, guys, in just in less than 72 hours, man, Zach, I really think you need to be here for our next episode, Godzilla times Kong: The New Empire. We're going to be ranking our top 5 Godzilla movies. Zach, I would give my left thumb to see you and hear your rankings of Godzilla movies. I think contractually, I think you got to be here Tuesday.
Just contractually, you got to be here, man. Sorry,
you got to be here Tuesday, 7:00. It's our debut on Tuesdays. Why not say goodbye to Sundays and hello for Tuesdays, and we'll leave you alone for the summer. But I think you got to be here, man. You got to rank your Godzilla films. Godzilla times Kong this Tuesday, 7 p.m. It'll be a fun, quick conversation, and we will rank our top 5 Godzilla movies this Tuesday, July 2nd, 7 p.m. So, other than that, man, Ed, you excited to talk about Godzilla and Kong?
I am.
So am I. I think I need to just get -1 now out of my head, and I need to just sit and chill and watch Godzilla times Kong, and appreciate it for what it is. And it'll be a fun topic on Tuesday. So that's what we're going to be talking about next, episode 304, Tuesday, Godzilla times Kong. So other than that, guys, any other things you want to talk about -1 before we get out of here?
Go check it out. Easy enough.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Don't forget, guys. That was Ed. This is Zach. I'm Juan, and we will see you on another new episode Tuesday of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.